Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today we are presenting about coming out GSRM, comparison of Japan and USA, and what is challenging for coming out, and what is which intervention should be done. So, as we shared during the class about GSRM, what is GSRM?
So GSRM we're using instead of LGBT plus or AIQ, blah, blah, blah. So G is for gender, and you can see we have a couple examples of someone who can identify their gender as male, female is the ones we're familiar with. Cisgender, which is matching of your sexuality with your gender. So if you're a straight female and you like men. Agender, bigender, two-spirited, demigender, non-binary, epicen, gender fluid, genderless, gender neutral, genderqueer, intergender, pangender, third gender, trigender, transgender, intersex. So those are a couple of genders that I don't think we talked about in Friday's class, so I thought it was important to bring those to attention. So some that you might not have heard of is like demigender, which is like a feeling of partially connected to either binary gender. Epicen is characteristics of both sexes or no sex. So that's a couple of those. Moving on to sexuality. So the most familiar one we know is straight. There's also gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, questioning, asexual, fluid, demisexual, gynesexual, hypersexual, pansexual, scoliosexual. So gynesexual also can be androsexual, which is feelings of attractiveness towards feminine qualities or masculine qualities. Scoliosexual is attracted to non-binary identifying persons. And that's a couple. And then last for our romantic is who you fall in love with, but you may not want to have sex with them. So you can have a romantic relationship. We're most familiar with heteroromantic. There's also aromantic, biromantic, gray romantic, demiromantic, homoromantic, and panromantic. Another one to describe biromantic can be not sexually attracted to either sex, but just romantically, you want to hang out with them, you want a connection with them. So it's important that to realize this is not an inclusive, everything out there, there's so many, and it's also important that they can be interconnected with each other also. Yes.
I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Kayo from Japan, and
Diana.
Let me go next slide.
Nice to meet you.
So there's a couple questions that we had when we did this presentation on why come out in the first place.
Okay, our project is coming out. What is the difficulty in prevention? But first, why we need to come out? The critics said sexuality and identity is a private matter. So, you don't need to come out. And do not free people from oppression.
So, a lot of people feel like it's private, why rub it in someone's face? Why make someone feel uncomfortable talking about it? And then Judith Butler also said that when people come out, it can even put them in a position of discrimination and violence, subject them to violence. But we say,
we don't force it, but we say bring awareness to discrimination and violence against GSRM. Because I have experience, if you have never met one of them, you don't know, you have no idea about that. So we identify people, it's important to come out to bring awareness.
Coming out can also be used as a catalyst for conversation between straight and GSRM person, like Kaya said. And also it can turn some sort of shame or social stigma into a liberation. And also, for me personally, it's a personal validation that I matter. It can be different if you see just straight couples on the TV and magazines, and then you know, you're like, where do I fit in? It's a personal validation.
So now let me share with you my modeling map. This is my personal, what is matter for me to coming out as Japanese. Sorry, this is my, this is my modeling map. What is matter for me to coming out? The first circle come culture, education, interpersonal other than international relationship other than family, and gender and sexual orientation. Because gender and sexual orientation is a matter itself, so it is, of course, it's important. And interpersonal relationship is important because it is matter of who I come out. So this relationship is important. It's matter for me, and culture and education because I and the people who I come out also got influence about culture and education. And Japan said we have unique culture and education system, so I think it is important matter for me. And second circle is social media, language, family, life cycle and age. And those are still somehow the relationship with the matter, but less important, like political beliefs, violence, for me, violence and other institutions, classes, races, ethnicity, religion. But this is the struggle of coming out for Japanese youth GSRMs. Of course, gender, sexual orientation, interpersonal relationship, education, culture is important, and the family. Now, 7.6% of the people are GSRMs in Japan, but many people don't know about them. For example, I think education is one of the big matter. 80% of the school teacher answered that they haven't met GSRM students. But no way, because one class have like 30, 40 students. And the percentage of the sexual minority in Japan is 7.6%. It means one person among 20 sexual minorities. But teachers, only 8% of the teachers said, only 8% of the teachers said, I have met. No way. So, only 10% of the teacher said they have training about sexual minority when they become teacher. So, which means we don't have any education for teachers and for children in the private public education, and it's also we have culture. And I put the language and social media also matter for us because in Japan also only 1.3% of the population are foreigners. It's quite small number of the foreign people, and we speak only Japanese normally. So it's difficult to get information from other countries, English information. So we live very close society, and yeah. So that's why I think the language and social media is important to come out to get more information for coming out or correct and enough information about coming out. Yeah. And also, some people have violence, not only physical violence, but bullying and psychological violence being GSRMs. And they have twice more substance use than straight in Japan, and they will have health issue also, and those are less important things for us. Yeah. So let me move on. I can continue. Okay. So why it's coming out is so difficult for Japanese and us? As I said, only 1%, 1.3% of the population are foreigners. well, there is lack of diversity. We speak only Japanese, we are only Japanese ethnicity, race. So we are lack of diversity, which means we are very, how to say, weak, something different from us. I think it is one of the fundamental causes. And second is adequate information, including school education. It's quite difficult to get adequate information. And since now the internet are very accessible for all people, all generation, somehow they can get inadequate education through internet, inadequate information through internet. And the teacher don't get training for sexual minorities, GSRMs. And so difficulties in the school, interpersonal, especially youth, they have more bullying in school and gay hate jokes. Have you ever had the new iPhone 6s color gold, pink gold one? So if you guy had a pink gold iPhone, oh, it's for men. No, for gay. Why you have that kind of gay hate jokes very often in our culture, still, and invisibility of GSRMs and interpersonal. Because we cannot get adequate enough information, you can know who are you. So unclear self-identity and don't know how to come out. We have the investigation about that and environmental. Still in the law, same-sex marriage is not allowed. We have no legal, we don't have law to protect GSM as right. And school uniform as well. If you don't like to wear skirt uniform, you have to negotiate with school teachers. It's quite difficult environment. So it causes self-harm, self-hate, substance abuse, and suicide. We don't have any investigation about suicide, but we have an investigation about attempting suicide. For male, 6 times more than straight people, and for female, 2 times more than straight people attempting suicide rate. So, now? Okay.
Okay, so this was some struggles that a GSRM American may face coming out. I broke them down into 3 categories. The first is interpersonal, family and friends that might have right-wing political beliefs or very strong like anti-gay religious beliefs that may result in violence, as you see. Can you click that thing? So it can like lead to shame of the individual. They can be kicked out of the house, substance abuse, and self-harm also. And then the second category I put as intrapersonal, so when your own political beliefs and religious beliefs are going against what you're feeling inside, that can also clash your thoughts and lead to self-harm also. And then the last one I have as age, race, ethnicity, culture, class, gender, and disability are all factors that all have their own injustices, so piling on another one can just lead to more self-harm than in schools, especially bullying, and then online cyberbullying, and there's just a lack of education in schools and no political support, except recently there is the marriage equality law, so that's good. I decided to do my individual coming out mattering map second because I've been fortunate enough to experience like a very positive, accepting environment. So first, being a white middle class 4th generation American puts me like, no racial, no like financial issues. Also, my parents are educated and had me at an older age, which I think that influenced their political and religious beliefs to be like more opening and accepting. And I also had online education and access to supportive friends in school who had like religious diversity, racial diversity, and who for the most part stayed away from substance abuse. Also living in Florida, state legislation protects most discrimination like against GRSM individuals in employment and in schools, so I put that over here too.
So now we are going to talk about the intervention needs. First, I'm going to talk about the Japan. It is somehow we are starting, we are initiating the intervention. For example, education, put up posters in the school walls about the information about the GSMRs. Or educated and trained school teachers, somehow we are starting but still very low, and give class about GSMRs. And social, it is LGTB friendly companies. So for example, IBM, they have intra company community inside. And same-sex marriage, we are not allowed same-sex marriage yet, but in the local level, in the region level, in Shibuya area in Tokyo, inside of them, there are ordinance which allows same-sex marriage in Japan. And raise awareness using social media. Later on, I'll showing the short video about the coming out clip. And then, yeah. So this is now we are starting intervention. The intervention which we are starting, and further intervention which is our project is creating GSMR anime cartoon to spread awareness and understanding about GSMRs and to eliminate bullying and teasing. Collaborate project with animation writer. Because I shared with you my mattering map, culture the important element for coming out. So as we discussed during the class, Japanese anime, including porno, and we have quite big influence. So I want to make use of this culture to bring awareness about the correct, adequate understanding of GSMRs, GSRMs, and we need to collaborate with animation writers. And to bring to US, we need to translate, but already we have a lot of Japanese anime translated in English, Spanish, so I think it is possible. And also now thinking that the internet and the social community is also a big influence to all population, especially younger generation. We can publish this one also PDF online. We can distribute this animation like this. The point is now we have already have a cartoon about GSMRs, but it is more like not educational animated cartoon, but only for romantic love or something like that. So we want to make it more educational content.
Okay. So in the US, we already have like a huge successful programs on like a very local level and in media. So like for example, there's LGBT allied groups in schools, there's YouTube and other media outlets that provide relatable information and inspirational coming out stories. Those can like create a sense of community and support for individuals. There's also like local pride parades and holidays that are celebrated. And but the main ones that have been like the most resilient towards the change has been religious groups and political groups. So there's one campaign in the United States that it's run by the Human Rights Campaign, and it's called Project One. It's in 3 states and it works with religious leaders and political leaders. So I was taking that idea and putting it towards just leadership training in general, because it's more of the leaders in the communities that can like make this diversity even wider than it has to be and not accepting. But also there needs to be just like we can translate the media that's so big on YouTube that in the States and help like Japan make these cartoons, and then we can actually take their cartoons that they make, maybe translate them to English also. So it's different on different levels, I think, of where our coming out meets between the two cultures.
Yeah, doing this marketing map, I noticed the differences of our marketing map in the United States and Japan. One is the religion. In Japan, the religious group don't have any not big influence our culture and our coming out issue, but you have kind of that. And language is an advantage of English speakers. I investigated that 55% of the information in the website, internet, is English, and only 5% in Japanese. So so the information which Japanese can get is very limited. So it is, can be an advantage of English speakers. And now in Japan, this May, one NGO started the coming out project in Japan, which is called Out in Japan. It's a project aimed at shining the spotlight, encourage coming out for LGBTs in Japan. They have the goal 10,000 portraits to put on one movie and familiarize Japanese public with presence of sexual minorities and to share accurate information and knowledge of the LGBT community. So I'd like to share the video clip with this on YouTube. This is a collaboration with Gap in Japan, and they have a gallery in the center of Tokyo. I should have English subtitle. Thank you very much. This is the one of the coming project in Japan.
As you can see, there's been a lot of great strides made to make a safe environment for people to feel like accepted, to come out as GSRM. So I wanted to end with this quote by Alan, of course. One day we won't have to come out of the closet. We will just say we are in love, and that will be all that matters. So thank you.
Thank you.